The 28th of April, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
We say we give it back. Yeah. So that's not contradicting what Rebbe Avo said, because that Mishnah is not talking about a loan document. It's talking, like Reb Zera said, about a shtar chaltasa or a drachta. Seizure documents, foreclosure documents, not about a loan document where we have a concern that the loiva may have already paid the loan. Okay. Okay, now we go to the kafran. Where can we find this? This is the bottom of the page.
It's
Yeah,
683, last paragraph. Bava digresses to discuss the laws of a debtor who is presumed a liar. The kafran, and a liar. Ho'il v'ata liyadan. Maybe it came up in discussion.
you're done.
Nema Bay Milsa. Oh, since it came up in discussion, let us say something about it. De Amar Rav Yosef Bar Minyomi Amar Rav Nachman. Rav Yosef Bar Minyomi said in the name of Rav Nachman, Amar Lo, let's see, they said to him, they is the court, they said to the debtor, Te Tan Lo, go and give the lender the money that you owe him. Amar Parati, and he said, the debtor said, I paid. Neman, he is believed. According to English, I paid means I paid as you instructed me, not I paid before you instructed me.
That's what Rashi says.
Okay. Yeah, that's my English. Ba malva lichtov. If after the debtor was instructed to pay, the lender approaches the court and asks them to write for him a record of the verdict. Ein kosvin v'nosnin lo. They do not write and give it to him. Because he paid. They believe he paid, so they're not going to give him a note saying that he owes the money. Shall I go weiter, or you want to read the Rashi on this?
Yeah, let's take a look at what we have over here in the Rashi. You got one Rashi on the bottom of Amid base. Tenlo, say Tenlo.
Say Tenlo. Go and give it to him.
Yeah.
Shepasku Dino, because they made a psak din for him. They made one. Shitzion, Shitzaba Olav, Latelo, that they made it, they commanded on him to give it to him. He was commanded by Beis Din to give it to him.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry, Rabbi Levitt. I have to go. I can't stay for this session, but hopefully I will tomorrow.
Okay, Bez Hashem.
Okay.
Kodesh Tov.
Okay, be well.
Kodesh Tov to all of you. Kodesh Tov.
Okay, so Amrulot say Tenlo. Bezdin says to this person, whoever he is, pay up the loan. Pay up the loan. They pass. Rashi says they paskin the din in the Bezdin, and they commanded him to pay to the malva. And what is Vamar? And he says back paraiti. He says, "Oh, now look what Rashi says over here. The first Rashi on Yud Zayin Amid Aleph. And a round of applause for Tes Zayin Amid Beis. Hooray! Okay.
Okay. Amar la'achazman, after time. Parate, I paid it. I'll pay Beis Din, according to what Beis Din said.
Parati al pi Bezdin. Uh-huh. And so the din is, what's the din? In this case, he's Neman.
He's Neman, which means he's believed. Keshvua Hesed. This is a certain, he has to make a Shvua Hesed that he paid, and then he's believed.
Okay. This is interesting what Rashi says. He said this la'achazman. Rashi's saying that the whole thing sounds a little strange. I'll tell you why. If Bezdin says to the Lord, but say Tenlo, what does that mean? That means that, like Rashi said, that Bezdin is paskined based upon what testimony that they've heard, what documents they've seen, etc., that this loiva owes the malva, and so accordingly this is like the Gemara din. They say to the malva, they say, okay, we've paskined that you owe, and so therefore accordingly we tell to you, go and pay him. Go and pay him. And then he says, paraiti, but I paid it. And Rashi says, what does he mean? I paid it. He says he paid it le'achar zman. What is le'achar zman referring to? It's referring to what does the art scroll say about this? It's a bit confusing. What does Rashi mean when he says la'achar zman? What's the intention over here?
Um, Rashi says it is presumed that the debtor would not have paid unless the court ordered him to do so by saying, "Go and pay the lender." The court's statement that the debtor is obligated to pay falls short of an order. Rashi. Rather, it indicates that the court still needs to consider the matter before it issues a final verdict. Therefore, the debtor is not believed to swear that he paid. Instead, the lender swears that he has not been paid and collects the debt. Ordinarily, even where a plaintiff has proof of the creation of an obligation, but not of repayment, the debtor is believed to assert that he already paid. In this case, however, the fact that the debtor contested the obligation in court leads us to presume that he would not have paid unless the court ordered him to do so. See Rashi.
Okay. All right. Okay, so be that as it may, so Rashi is explaining it seems like what they are saying is that Rashi's explaining that this Lova, when he says Paraiti, and Rashi says La'achar zman, he means after the time that the Bezdin paskined that he has to pay, which I don't know. It's pretty confusing. I don't have the clarity in this. Maybe let's see the next part of this this statement. Bo malve, bo malve. In the middle of the first line on Yud Zayin Aleph, Amid Aleph.
Yud Zayin Amid Aleph. Bo malva lichtov. After the debtor was instructed to pay, the lender approaches the court and asks them to write for him a record of the verdict. Torchosh and Mishpat explains that he requests a written record of the verdict.
Mm-hmm.
Ein kosvin v'not nin lo. They do not write and give it to him. Footnote says, since it is possible that the debtor already paid, the court may not write a record of the verdict for the lender because he can use it to falsely prove that the debt is still outstanding.
There's something here we're not understanding. At least I'm not understanding. The time sequence is difficult.
I don't know. It seems clear to me. The court says to the to the to the uh, the Lova, uh, go and pay the Malva. The Lova does. He pays him. He comes back to court and he says, "Okay, I did as you asked me. I did as you told me. I paid him." The Malva says, "Please write me a document certifying that the verdict was in my favor." The court says, "No, we're not going to write you that document because since the Lova has already paid you and we believe that he paid you, then if we write you a document that says that you won the court case, you could come back to another court and say, he has to pay me, he hasn't paid me yet, here's my proof. So we're not going to give you that document."
Uh-huh. So okay, what again? Step one. The steps are difficult over here for me. Step one is Amrulo say tenlo. The Bezdin says to the Lova, we've paskined against you, says Rashi. Go and so accordingly, go and go out and pay the Malva, what you owe him. And then it says, so at that point, he's got to pay him. He didn't pay him yet.
Correct.
And then it says Va'amar Paraiti. And he says, the Lova, he says, Paraiti, I paid it. Rashi says, he says this la'achar, meaning to say, now we're fast forwarding. We're no longer in the trial anymore. We're sometime after that, and somewhere I guess in Bezdin, I guess the Lova says that he's paid he's paid this loan. According and Rashi says Al Pi Bezdin, he paid it based upon the say so of Bezdin. That's what he's saying now. He says I paid it.
Right.
So that's step two that took place a week later, let's say. And we say that if when he says that he's Ne'eman, to say that he did that. As long as he takes the shvua, says Rashi. Okay, so the Bezdin knows that, and now when now step three is sometime after that, the Malva comes back to the Bezdin and he says, "Write me in a drachta that you ruled in my favor, so that I can go collect from the loiva." And they say, "Sorry, we can't write that to you."
That sounds right to me.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So the trick is to know that that what Rashi says, that he says after some time. Otherwise, you think it's all happening in the same time at the base din, and it doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what my English says. It says, if after the debtor was instructed to pay,
He claims that he did pay.
right,
He swears to it. Okay. So we're talking about three separate days. Day one, they told him to pay. Day two, he comes and says that he did pay. Day three, the Malva says, write me a document so I can collect from the guy. And then we don't do it.
Right.
Okay. Um, okay. It still bothers me. What I mean, once the Gemara says Neman, once we say that the guy is Neman, that he's believed, and we accept his shvua and everything, obviously, if the Malva is going to come along and say, write me an adrachta, we're not going to write it for him because we just got through saying that we believed the loiva with his statement and his shvua that he paid it up. It's kind of strange. What's the Hiddish, in other words? In other words, why not just say Neman, period, end of the story? What do we got to say that the Malva comes later and he wants to get an adrachta so that he can collect? So obviously we're not going to write it for him.
There's a footnote here. It says, however, as is the law for any defendant who entirely denies the plaintiff's claim, he must swear a Hesses oath supporting his claim, according to Rashi.
Yeah, Rashi said that.
So maybe that's the Chiddush, that they don't make him swear, they believe him.
No, Rashi says he has to make a shvua. He's Neman ubishvuas Hesses.
Oh, he's believed because he swears.
Presumably, he's presumably, if he refuses to make the shvua, we're not going to
So you're troubled because you don't see a Chiddush here.
Well, I say that the Hiddish is, yeah. I mean, I don't see it being a Hiddish that he's Neman, if he's going to make a Shvuah. I don't see any Hiddish in saying that if the Malva comes thereafter and wants an adrachta, we don't give it to him. Obviously, we don't give it to him. We just got through saying that we accepted the taina of the loiva, and we accepted and we allowed him to make a shvua, and he made a shvua, and so accordingly, his claim that he paid is accepted. So if his claim to pay that he paid is accepted, so obviously we're not going to write a seizure warrant for the malva that he could collect from the lova's assets whenever he wants because he won the case. We know that he already paid up.
Maybe the Kiddush is that the malva is saying, look, I don't want to collect unjustly. I just want to be able to prove that I won the case, which is a true fact. So if you're worried about the lova, so write him a document saying he paid. Then I'll have a document saying I won, and he'll have a document saying he paid, and everything is cool.
No, I mean our Gemora is taking on that like we see when if a loan document fell in the shuk, should we give it back to the malva? So we said so Rabbi Avo said no, we don't give it back to him. Why not? Because we have a chashash. we have we're entertaining a possibility that maybe the loiva has paid already, and just because of that, maybe we don't give the document back to the malva. Why don't we give the malva back his document? Because if the loiva paid, so then the malva has no right to the document. There's no point. The document's whole point is that he's going to use that document and collect with it. He doesn't need it to prove that he made the loan. He's going to use it to collect an unpaid loan. So we're not going to give it back to him. So here also, why would the malva want to have this adrachta? You'd only want to have it because, like that, he could collect from the assets of the loiva, because the adrachta certifies that the loan is outstanding and hasn't been paid. Or actually, I'll say it better than that. That's not really true what I said. The adrachta simply says that the Bezdin found that this loiva owed money, and they paskin that he owes the money, and ostensibly based upon that, the malva can go and seize property of the loiva. So we're not going to give him that adrachta, which is going to allow him to seize property if we already accepted the claim of the loiva that he's already paid. Okay. What time do we have? We got time. Okay. Okay, the Gemora is going to go further into this. Maybe it'll become clear.
Okay, so Rav Zvid.
Yeah.
Rav Zvid, Mishmei Derav Nachman.
No, not Reb Zvid. We got a line or two before Reb Zvid.
Chayev?
Chayev ata litain lo.
Chayev ata litain lo. The court told the debtor, the lova, you are obligated to pay. V'amar harati, and the debtor said, the lova said, after some time, the lova said, I paid.
Yeah.
Eino ne'eman. He is not believed.
Oh boy.
Ba malva lichtov. The lender approaches the court to write him kos vin vinos nin lo. They write and give it to him.
Right.
Oy vey.
Now we really don't understand. Seems like an absolute contradiction to what we just got through saying. The only thing I can think of, you see the apparent contradiction.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It seems like it's more or less the same exact case, but the result is punkt verkehrt. It's the exact opposite.
There's a Rashi.
The only thing. What? Take a look at Rashi. Okay.
In my footnote, there's a Rashi that explains.
Eino neman. Yeah, let's see the Rashi.
Which one? What are we up to? Which one now?
Eino neman. Third line.
Amo Neman. he's not believed. Lisheva, to give us to make a shvua. Ella rather shekenegdo, it's against him. Be shivat. The one against him is to make a shvua, benotel, and take it. You know, the other one, the other litigant could take it from him with a shvua and take it. The cave, and since the techilato in its beginning, he needs litboa. He needs to make a claim, the din, to go to the Beit Din. Ain darko, it's not his way. Lemahar, for tomorrow, lifroa, to pay him. Ad she pasco dino, until there's been you wouldn't pay unless you got a ruling in din about that. A psak Gemora, a final ruling. You're not going to pay on up front. You're going to wait for a whatchamacallit. You're going to wait to make sure you have it.
Okay, so not so clear in what Rashi says over here. But I think the difference is, if you look very, very carefully at what the Beis Din says in both of these cases, you'll see that the Beis Din is saying the language is a little bit different. Take a look at the first case with what the Beis Din said. Amr Rabbi Yosef bar Meyume, Amr Rab Nachman. Amru lo, the Beis Din says to the loiva, say 10 lo. Say 10 lo. That's what they said to him. Okay? Now, in this case, in this second case over here, the Beis Din says, chayev atat litein lo. Now, you might think to yourself, what's the difference? It's the same thing. But I say it's all the difference in the world. And that's what Rashi's talking about over here in Dibra Maskal Eino Neman that Phil just read. Look what Rashi, let's take a look again. What did Rashi say over here in Eino Neman? Rashi's explaining Eino Neman. Why it is that he's not Neman. The first part he just says is, we're not going to take a shua from him. We're going to tell the other one to make a shua, and he'll take the malva. But Rashi then says why it is that we don't believe this guy. It seems like he's saying the same thing that the first guy said in the first din. What's the difference? Says Rashi, the kevin shetchilosoi hutstrach letovo ledin, since he needed initially to make a claim against him in the din, in the Beis Din. Ein darko lemaher lifroya. It's not the way of the loiva to be too fast to pay up the loan that he owes. Ad shiyipsaku dino sak gomor, until there's a what do they call it? In English they call it they rap on the gavel and they call it what do they call it?
An order.
They make an order. It's the court. It's the order of the court. That's what Achiyipsiku Dino Psak Gomor. The language of say Tenlo is a Psak Gomor, says Rashi. And that's why in that case, when the guy says I paid it, he's Neman on that. But on this, in this, that's in the first case. But in the second case, when the Beis Din just says Chayev Atali Teino, that language does not that doesn't constitute the same finality of a psak din gomor that Rashi says as the case as the first case. So so therefore, when he says paraiti, as there is, even though it's after, it's also la'achar zman, but he's not going to be neman in that case. He's not going to be neman in that case. And so accordingly, that's that'll be the nafkamina. He won't be neman. We won't take a shua from him. And also, if the malva comes before the bezdin and requests to have an adrachta written, so then we will write an adrachta. Because why? Because in this case, when all the bezdin says was chayav talitelo, the loiva la'achar zman, afterwards he won't be neman to say that he paid yet, because there was not a psak gomor yet. Hard to really understand what's the difference between these two languages, and how come the Bezdin didn't say that? Why is it the fault of the loiva?
Yeah, it's hard to understand why the Bezdin made an ambiguous statement and then acts upon the ambiguity.
Yeah, but right, that needs more clarification. Why they would yeah.
They should know better. They know that it's going to be ambiguous, so don't say it that way.
Yeah, we have to. I think we need a little bit. We need more information about what happened in this case. We just saying the Bezdin made a mistake. I don't know.
The footnote says something interesting. It says this ambiguous statement indicates that the court still needs to consider the matter before it issues a final verdict.
So they didn't arrive at their final verdict yet. In other words, when they said
they were like thinking out loud, saying, "Well, you are obligated," but they didn't make the final statement. So then he comes back and he says, I decided to go ahead and pay it because I felt it was going against me. And they say, no, we're not believing you.
right, because our assumption is that the loiva he's held to knowledge about the ways of the Bezdin. He's required to know that the Bezdin has not yet arrived at a final psak, and we have a rule. That's what Rashi's pointing out in that Rashi. We have a rule that we assume that the guy's not going to pay until the Bezdin issues a final verdict. So his statement that he already paid before a final verdict was issued is a bit odd.
But I have a problem with that, and that is, if we're establishing the verdict has not yet been given, then how can they write an adrachta? There's been no final verdict.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, that needs an explanation too. Good question.
Anyway, our time is up, Rabbi.
Okay, very good.
Okay, be well. See you tomorrow. Take
Have
care.
a great day.
Chodesh Tov.
Chodesh Tov.
Chodesh Tov.